like a magnet. I've got my mind made up, and I won't turn back, because I want to see my Jesus someday. I've got my mind made up, and I won't turn back, because I want to see my Jesus someday. I've got my mind made up, and I won't turn back, because I want to see my Jesus someday. I've got my mind made up, and I won't turn back, because I want to see my Jesus someday. Sweet Jesus, what a wonder you are. You are brighter than the morning star. You are fairer, much fairer than the lily that goes by the way. You are precious, more precious than gold. Goodbye, world. I'll stay no longer with you. Goodbye, pleasures of sin. I'll stay no longer with you. I made up my mind to go God's way the rest of my life. I made up my mind to go God's way the rest of my life. Goodbye, world. I stay no longer with you. Goodbye, pleasures of sin. I stay no longer with you. I made up my mind to go God's way the rest of my life. I made up my mind to go God's way the rest of my life. I feel like pressing, I feel like pressing, I feel like pressing my way. I'm on my way to glory, and I feel like pressing my way. I know I'm pressing, I know I'm pressing, I know I'm pressing my way. I'm on my way to glory, and I know I'm pressing my way. I'm gonna walk those streets of glory by and by. I'm gonna walk those streets of glory by and by. I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna see redemption's glory. I'm gonna walk those streets of glory by and by. I'm gonna walk those streets of glory by and by. Sing and shout. I'm gonna walk those streets of glory by and by. Sing and shout. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna see redemption's glory. I'm gonna walk those streets of glory by and by. Redemption coming, praise the Lord. What a wonderful freedom, glory to His name. Come out of the bondage, come into God's freedom. Redemption coming, praise the Lord. By and by, when the morning comes, when all the saints of God shall gather round, we will tell the story, how we overcome. We will understand it better by and by. Amen. 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 Amen.
We will continue in singing our opening hymn, hymn number 15, My Maker and My King. Please stand. Hymn number 15.
Maker
we continue our drug abuse, drug awareness program under the theme Make a Difference, Choose Freedom. As old-time Seventh-day Adventists, we are going to be doing our morning watch. So, we will repeat together Proverbs 20, verse 1. Let's go after 3. 1, 2, 3. Wine is a mocker. Strong drink deceived thereby is not. Thank you. And our second text, Philippians 4, verse 13. After 3, 1, 2, 3.
Our third passage comes to us from Deuteronomy 30, verse 19, and I will read in your hearing. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Here endeth a portion of God's holy word.
You'll keep standing where possible for prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for what you have given us thus far, God. We praise your name for the Sabbath. And as it continues, pray now that as we go into this aspect of the service, that we'll be attentive, that the application of your words will come true, that as we learn about drugs and about how it can be abused, that, oh God, that we will find in your words peace. We will find in your words hope. We will find in your words restoration and forgiveness. To Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. We'll remain standing for the AY drill. You will stand at attention. Or should I bring you to attention? Your attention already, and we will begin with our aim. And our aim is message to all the world. And our motto, for the love of Christ compels us. And our pledge, loving the Lord Jesus, I promise to take an active part in the work of the ministry of the church, doing what I can to help others to finish the work of the gospel all the way. We will sing beautifully our song. Please, may be seated.
Good evening, everyone. Let me welcome you to this afternoon's program. I believe that we have a lot in store, so let us prepare ourselves to receive the blessing. Life is full of choices. Some choices bring hope, health, and peace. Others bring pain, destruction, and regret. Drug abuse is one of those choices that can steal joy, break families, and destroy futures. But God reminds us that we are not powerless. We can choose life. Choosing life means valuing ourselves, protecting our bodies, and seeking strength in Him when temptations or pressures come. When we walk in God's light, we find freedom. It gives us courage to say no to what harms us and yes to what will build us up. Today, as we gather to raise awareness, let us remember that every person here is precious, loved, and capable of living a life of purpose without drugs. We invite our gems to come and give us a special song at this time.
Jenny's got more money than she's got money. Who works 3 jobs, she's barely getting by. Bob's got a word his mom's been told is cancer. So many questions, and all of them that's why. In a broken world won't give you any answer. Everything is upside down. Wrong is right and right is wrong, but not for long. No, not for long. This broken world is praying by Savior, and nothing here can take him by surprise. Someday all is right, it will be over. Every tear's been wiped away and dry. But for now, we're living in a broken world. But not for long, no, not for long. Mama spent her waiting hours praying. Her child's done gone, left everything behind. Daddy's getting tired, his faith is fading. He can't get water from a well that's running dry. Living in a broken world. The broken world won't give you any answers. Everything is upside down. Wrong is right and right is wrong, but not for long. No, not for long. This broken world is cradled by a Savior, and nothing here can take him by surprise. Someday all his hurting will be over, and every And now we're living in a broken world, but not for long. No, not for long.
Mike. We're living in a broken world, but it's not for long. All of these will soon be over because we serve a God who is still in charge. If you're here this evening and you figure that this drug awareness, drug abuse program or presentation is not for you, raise your hand. You don't think it's yours, all right? That means you're at the right place. My next question. You're here this afternoon and you don't know what alcohol tastes like. Raise your hand. All right, I see 2 hands. Wonder if I'm in the right place. It's a good thing Mercy rewrites some of our story, don't? Good thing it was rewritten because some of us would have been written off. And the program this evening is going to help us because sometimes we are doing some things and we are not fully aware of what we are doing. So take, for instance, when I was growing up as a child, not in a Seventh-day Adventist home, when my mother made carrot juice, she would put dragon stout in it. And I think alcohol is there. And when she made sorrel, she would put some of Jerry and his nephew in it too. All right? So as children, sometimes we partake of some of the things without even knowing. And I was saying to somebody just this week that some of us, we might not literally be smoking, but we are smoking. We are second-hand smokers because we are in the environment where some of this is happening. And even for children coming to school, they come close to you and you can smell the ganja on the uniforms. They are not the ones smoking, but it is there. All right? So we are going to be educated this evening and we are waiting. We can't wait. We want to give Sister Brown more than 3 hours this evening to feed us with a lot of information. And we are happy that she took the time out to be here. Every person here today has a story, a dream, and a future worth protecting. Drug abuse tries to steal those dreams. It whispers lies that numb the pain but leave scars behind. I was talking to a gentleman about drinking and he said, "Me stress, you don't understand." Yet, the truth is stronger. You're valuable. You're capable. As I said earlier, you're loved. Life is not about avoiding struggles. It's about facing them with courage. Choosing to live free from drugs is not just saying no to destruction. It is saying yes to opportunities, to health, to family, to purpose. It's saying yes to being the best version of yourself. Remember, strength is not found in substance, but in your willpower, your faith, and the support of those who care about you. When you choose to rise above addiction, you become a light for others. Proof that freedom is possible and that hope is real. This afternoon, we have a young lady who will be hosting our program. She's from the Blue Hole Seventh-day Adventist Church. She's from the Blue Hole Seventh-day Adventist Church. And at this time, her name is Ramona Stedman. Yes, Ramona Stedman. And she's here to host our program. We're happy that we have somebody from our sister church. We have people from other churches here who will be welcomed very soon. So let's put our hands together as we welcome Sister Stedman.
Good afternoon, AY. I am happy for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be here this afternoon. But before we delve into the afternoon's program, as much as we will be presenting on drug abuse this afternoon, a lot of persons here, I know the questions may be asked, what is a drug? And what is abuse? Because yes, it is a topic that we'll be learning about this afternoon. But just before we go into the presentation where we'll learn everything, I want to see if any of us have any idea of what it is that we will be learning about this afternoon. So anyone, what is a drug? You can raise your hands. Anyone? No one? All right.
Substance that you can become addicted to.
All right. It's a substance that you can become addicted to. And,
Girls.
okay, Brother Williams. All right. But the other word follows. What is abuse?
You have different types of abuse.
Right.
So you have physical abuse, you have
Mhm.
emotional abuse, so it depends on the type of abuse. So we learn all about them this afternoon.
Sure you will. All right. And just to answer those two questions, we know that a drug is any substance that changes the way how the mind or body works. And abuse is the wrong, harmful, or excessive use of something or someone. It means using something in a way it was not meant to be used, most of the time, times causing damage to the body and to the mind. So at this time, before I hand over to Sister Brown, I'll ask Ricardo to hand out some papers. And on these papers, be writing your questions throughout the presentation, because I'm sure we all have questions that we would like to ask based on what will be presented this afternoon. So you can write your questions on these papers. I'll walk around and collect them afterwards, and at the end of her presentation, we'll get an opportunity for those questions to be answered. As the papers are being handed out, we'll ask Brother Rodriguez to come at this time as he will introduce this afternoon's speaker for us.
Happy Sabbath, AY. Happy Sabbath, AY. Are you happy to be here? All right. So at this moment, I also want to take the opportunity to welcome our sister churches that have joined us for this venture. If you're from COPS, just let me see you wave your hand. COPS, not here yet? Oh, yes, man. COPS is here. What are you talking about? Live and living color. If you're from Blue Hole, if it's even Sister Stedman, let me see you raise your hand. All right. Elda is here and Sister Stedman. If you are from Mount Carey, let me, yeah, man, Mount Carey. Yeah, man, the hands them going up little by little. We want to say welcome to the program, and we trust that holistically we will be able to benefit from it, and we'll take back to our churches tips on how to enhance our congregation. Now, this afternoon, we are so privileged to have two presenters. Amen, church? I'm not just solo again. I said we are privileged to have two presenters. So, Sister Scott, if you are trying to limit the 3 hours, you'll get knocked, because Sister Brown have bucket this evening. And so this afternoon, we will kick off with the first presenter. He hails from the Retirement Seventh-day Adventist Church. He is a young, seemingly, looks are deceiving. You're single? And he's single. Say amen, church. You see, when you hear the apartment, supposed to hear everybody say amen. Yes? Israel J. Thompson. He is a substance misuse prevention officer for the parish of St. James. Say amen, church. Roger, son, let them see you. The girl I want to see you, man. Stand up. Yes, man. You see, young, driven, and ready. At this time, we now welcome Ral J. Thompson to take the mic as he will be our first presenter this afternoon. Give him a clap for me as he comes. Keep clapping. Roger, see over the corner then the clap. You see what I'm going?
Yeah, I'm see it. All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and happy Sabbath. All right, so thank you. Upon coming into the church this afternoon, so Miss Brown was saying to me that she felt a heat, and I was thinking about it, and I was saying, I'm wondering if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm wondering if we are the ones who brought the heat or if it was here. Was it here from morning? All right, so we're just gonna see if we can work it, right? All right, so thank you very much, brother, for the introduction. All right, so today it says make a difference and choose freedom. So over the next few minutes or probably an hour, depends, I'll be speaking to you guys about substances, some common ones that we know and we see. Additionally, we'll be looking at some effects and so on. And I know that we are all Bible-believing Seventh-day Adventists, so this afternoon, this is just for education, right? So, right, none of us here believe in the selling or the buying or the using or the misusing of drugs. Am I right? May I get an amen? I see a hand on the back saying no or yes. All right, great. All right, so at the National Council on Drug Abuse, so next slide. Oh, you're not going to be able to see it. All right. So what you can see, I have it here, so I'll read it. So at the NCDA, we were established in 1983 as a voluntary non-profit organization to provide Jamaicans with quality drug prevention and treatment services. Since then, however, the council has had to review its role, and this has led to an expansion where we now examine the legal, medicinal, and security issues surrounding drug abuse, as well as research. So from time to time, when we have our meetings, we look at some prevalent substances in the country, and because of research, we'll be able to give statistics and so on. So now we are a department within the Ministry of Health and Wellness, providing information on the use, misuse of substances, intervention, and also treatment services. So next slide, please. Some services offered by the NCDA include substance misuse education, which I do, prevention programs in schools and communities, counseling, drug testing, and also screening. All right, next slide. So this evening, I don't want to be the only person talking, right? So I want us to have a conversation, even though, right, I want us to have a conversation. So whatever you want to know, you can ask me as well, and we'll be going through this together. So the first question that I want to ask, so what comes to you hear the word drugs? Anybody? So I'm hearing ganja. Anyone else? I'm hearing cocaine. What else? All right, so I'm hearing morphine. I'm hearing substances. Yes, sister? Medicate? Or medications. You're absolutely correct. Right. So all of those that you guys have mentioned, those are all drugs, right? All substances. All right, so next slide. So, right. So a drug is any substance that changes, thank you very much. A drug is any substance that changes the way that your body or your mind works. It changes the way that you think, you feel, or you behave. So it says it's anything that changes the way that your mind or your body works. It changes the way that you think, you feel, or you behave. So you have many substances that are around, and these might alter, your body functions and as relates to how you think. So you might be having some different thoughts that you wouldn't have, regularly. And how you feel, you might feel a certain type of way in your body. So you may feel ill, and it may cause you to behave a certain way as well, right? So a drug can either be, next slide, please. A drug can either be helpful It can either be a medicine or harmful, which are misused substances. So we also have legal versus illegal substances. So legal refers to regulated substances. So these are ones that are permitted by law, but often regulated by age or prescription, including alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, and over-the-counter or pharmaceutical drugs. So my sister there in the blue was absolutely correct, right? So medicines can also be considered as drugs. And through the presentation, I'll also be touching into the fact. Mike? Right. I'll also be touching into the fact
Mic check.
drugs can, thank you, that drugs can also be misused. And now I'm now talking about medicinal drugs as well. So they can also be illegal drugs. So these are the ones that are quote unquote prohibited. So possession of over 2 ounces of ganja or any amount of cocaine, heroin, or ecstasy. That's a criminal offense under the Dangerous Drugs Act, or cultivation of more than 5 plants or smoking in public spaces is also illegal. We also have prescription or legal misuse. So even legal drugs such as prescription medication can lead to changes or charges if they are misused or obtained through illicit means. So now we're going to talk about drugs of interest in schools and communities. And this is where I want us to have a conversation. So the first one we're going to speak about is ganja. So we see this all the time, not true? I'm hearing no. I'm hearing yes. All right. Or you see some of the younger persons. Or persons don't know it. All right. Or let me say, have you ever smelled this before? All right. So this is a plant that can be cultivated anywhere and everywhere, right? And it's usually used by persons. Some will say that they smoke it to forget their problems, right? So yesterday, we actually had a little exhibition in the Montego Bay Transport Center, right? So it was National or Worldwide Drug Day, and we had a booth set up, and we also collaborated with other stakeholders as well. And I got to interact with a number of individuals. And one of these individuals told me that, he uses or he smokes ganja because he's stressed, right? So what you see from that is that there are many factors that can cause somebody to use or misuse a substance. So ganja, it being a substance, this one is usually smoked, right? And nowadays, whenever I go into schools as well, I realize that the children, they're also very knowledgeable and they're learning very quickly, because they will say to me that, sir, ganja is not all that bad. And my next question, what do you think my question to them is? Why, right? And they say to me that, well, it can be used as a pill. So true or false, can ganja be used as a pill? All right, so I'm hearing true, and you're absolutely correct, right? So doctors will prescribe it, or it is prescribed in some medications to be used. However, that is totally different from if it is smoked. So in ganja, it has a substance that we call THC, right? So it's tetrahydrocannabinol. And that is actually a harmful substance that ganja contains, right? And we also have the synthetic marijuana as well, and that is known as K2. So that is one that is made in labs and so on, and that can also be harmful to the body. So we also have tobacco or cigarettes. And who can tell me what is tobacco or what is cigarettes? What is a cigarette? Anyone? All right, I'm hearing, but I can't pinpoint anybody. All right. All right, so she said it's something that you plant and you reap it after a period of time, and you process it into cigarettes. All right, it's processed tobacco. Very good. And that's absolutely correct, right? So the main component in cigarette is actually tobacco. And the tobacco contains something that we call nicotine, right? And the nicotine is actually what, you know, despite the other harmful chemicals that are in the cigarette, the nicotine is what makes it so destructive. And you might ask why? Because in the cigarette, the nicotine, it's placed, you know, close to the butt of the cigarette. So that's when it's about to finish, right? And then you will realize that when it's about to finish, that is when the person feels a kick from it. That is when the person, right? That is when the individual will feel the kick from it. And if you feel the kick from it when it is finishing, what does that drive you to do? Go for more, right? And that is why you will see persons saying, all right, they'll go through 5, 6, 7 cigarettes per day. Because it seems as if this is something that, you know, they keep on feeling that they want to take it over and over again because of the nicotine. So the nicotine, it appeals directly to the pleasure hormone in the brain. And who knows what that hormone is called? Dopamine, very good. So it actually causes a release or a rush of dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone. So for those of you who would have done PEP, and you know, you got your first choice, second choice, third choice, and you feel happy, right? That's a release of dopamine. If you don't see someone in a long time and you see them, and then that feeling, that overjoying feeling that you get, that's also a release of dopamine. And that is what the nicotine it preys on in the mind. We also have alcohol. And this is also a drug. And earlier on, I was telling you guys about, you know, our agency and how we do, you know, research and so on. And because of that research, we were able to deduce that alcohol is actually the most used drug in Jamaica, right? And, you know, you can even see it in your communities on your way to work and so on. You know, you see persons, as early as tomorrow night, they are drinking alcohol, right? And you said it's special, right? And, you know, of recent, the minister has been clamping down on this as well because he has realized that it is actually a very big issue. So the alcohol, persons will say it doesn't really affect them. But what the alcohol is, so we have different types of drugs. So earlier on, I told you guys about the ganja, and that is called a stimulant. So it actually, you know, it speeds you up in a way, right? And the alcohol, it's actually a depressant, right? So this one is going to do what? Slow you down, right? So if it slows you down, what do you think is going to happen? Anybody? So if you keep on taking something that is going to slow down your central nervous system, what do you think will happen to you? You eventually die, right? And your body will shut down. Exactly. And so they are pairing this now with the energy drink as well. And the energy drink is a stimulant, right? Because it gives you energy. So these two mixed together, you see that it doesn't really make sense, right? Right. So alcohol in and of itself, the reason, again, it is so dangerous is because, especially to youth, so their brains are not fully developed until they are around 25 years old. So if you keep feeding on these substances from a very tender age, that means that you're damaging your brain, which is the main organ that is used for thinking, decision-making, you know, and also basically everything that you do, coordination and so on. So if you damage this organ from such a tender age, you realize that whenever they get to about my age or thereabout, then they cannot make decisions. So you realize that there are also family problems, relationship problems, and basically they aren't functioning as they are supposed to. And that is all because of the alcohol, right? So the other substance, this is the edibles. So I want a youth to tell me if they know what edibles are. Anyone? So you said yes. So what are edibles?
Marijuana and other drugs mixed together.
All right. So she said marijuana and other drugs mixed together. And all right, you said
Ganja cake.
ganja cake. All right. And they're actually correct, right? So the edibles, they can either be, as I said, you know, ganja cake, or it can be cookies, right? So you also have cookies as well. You have brownies. What else? Gummies, right? Exactly. And what these are, they are ganja infused stuff, right? So they are made in labs and so on. Yes, sir. Right, we're talking about the ganja cookies, man. Right. So, right, so these are also things that we see a lot in the school system, right? And the reason these are so bad is because they look just like regular food. So regular, you see, they make them no different from the regular gummy bears, no different from the regular cookies, no different from the regular cakes, right? And many of them, they are in deceiving packaging. And we'll also delve into that further as well. So we also have the vape, right? And this is another one that we are seeing emerging now in the school system as well. And it's called, so in bracket you will see ENDS. So the N stands for electronic nicotine delivery or dispensary system, right? So electronic means that, guess what? It's an electronic machine, as you are seeing there, right? Nicotine delivery system. So it's going to deliver nicotine directly into your body, right? So it can either be charged or some of them, they are non-rechargeable. So you use them one time and then they can't be used again, right? And we'll also be delving into that further as well. And we also have lean, right? So some of you may not be familiar with this one, or some persons may not be familiar with it, but as I said, it's education, right? So lean, and who thinks where the lean got its name from? Who can tell? It's very self-explanatory. So it's lean. Go. Somebody said something? No, not that. Yes? Anybody? All right. All right. I'm here saying something.
Makes you lean when you drink it, your wax.
He's absolutely correct. Yes. Right. So when you take the lean, it actually makes, right, so you, over a period of usage, you basically lean or slouch. That is the effect, or one of the long-term effects that is actually does to your body, right? So the lean, go repeat. All right, I'm going to say what it is, right? So it is a mixture of what you're seeing there for those who can see it. So it's Sprite, Jolly Rancher, or candies, and actually DPH, right? Or codeine. No, they don't really use Molly in it, right? So it's a mixture of these three main ingredients, right? So you have the Sprite, the Jolly Rancher, and the DPH or codeine, right? And what this does is it is going to create a purple color, and that's why another name for it is the purple drunk, right? And this is actually glorified in the American rap music, right? So you see artists singing about this, and that is why a lot of persons over there, they do it, and them say when America sneeze, Jamaica do what? Catch a cold, right? So you come right here into our little island, and we're also seeing this as well in many schools, right? So the first one we're going to delve into further now is the marijuana. So marijuana, also known as ganja, the street name, weed, cannabis, Mary Jane, comes from the plant Cannabis sativa and is widely used in Jamaica and around the world for recreational, cultural, and medicinal purposes. The main chemical that affects the brain is THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, which causes the high that they say they get when they use it, right? Another compound, CDB, which is the cannabidiol, is often linked to medicinal benefits without the strong high. And that is the component of it that is used in pills and so on. So that is not actually smoked, right? So effects of smoking ganja. So we have short-term effects and long-term effects. So short-term effects are relaxation or euphoria, altered perception of time, sound, and sight, poor memory and coordination, or concentration rather, increased heart rate, or anxiety, or paranoia, especially in high doses. And this can be seen in individuals who smoke this substance, especially those who use it over a long period of time, right? So these persons, one of the main things that they usually say they're feeling is paranoia or anxiety. So you hear people say, oh, like, they know if they head back a road, right? Or them always look around them and them no one go out at night. And you have many different superstitions, right? That is because of the paranoia and anxiety that the substance brings on. We also have long-term effects, especially with heavy use. So this includes reduced motivation and memory problems, risk of addiction, lung damage, mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, possible psychosis in vulnerable persons, and impact on brain development in adolescents. So what happens when you smoke the ganja is that it actually bypasses everything and it goes straight to your brain. And when it goes to your brain, it starts to affect your brain in ways that you probably can't comprehend. Because the substance that is in it, the THC, it is so harmful to an extent that, so you know, there are membranes in your brain, right? That, you know, they prevent certain things from passing. So this actually bypasses all of those. And these are the effects that you will see individuals coming down with. So we always encourage you that, guess what? Yes, you may be going through something difficult, but it's better not to use than you're going to use, and then in the future you're going to be sorry. Because you never know what might happen, right? So, for example, someone may smoke now, right? So let's say a young man in grade 7 or grade 8, he may smoke now. And he may say, all right, he's not sure if he likes it or not, and he stops. And then further down the line, in about grade 9, he suffers a loss. Let's say his mother dies, right? And he goes back onto smoking the ganja. Like he's gonna say, all right, you just go try it again. And then, because of a loss that he's experiencing, it is now what he's using to cope. And in using this to cope, it becomes something that he's doing repeatedly or over time, you know? And then that is gonna lead to what we call what? Addiction, right? So you never know what might happen, right? So we say, do not do this. You know, find different or alternatives to cope. Right, so moving on to alcohol. So we also have short and long-term effects of alcohol use. Some short-term effects include impaired judgment, decreased perception and coordination, headaches, blackouts or memory lapse, and also coma. Long-term effects include liver disease, nerve damage, gastritis, increased family and relationship problems, poisoning, which is alcohol poisoning, high blood pressure, stroke, and other heart-related diseases. So, yes, so those are things that alcohol causes. And we also know that alcohol is a substance that, so it has a high concentration of what? Sugar in it, right? Because it's basically fermented sugar. Now, who can tell me what organ in the body is responsible for filtering the blood? The kidneys, right? So, imagine the pressure that you are putting on your kidneys if you consume alcohol repeatedly or over a long period of time. So before the body can even get to filter out this, you are feeding your bodies with it again, right? And that is why many persons who consume alcohol over a long period of time, they eventually develop kidney failure. Because, and also diabetes, right? Because of the amount of sugar, and I'm glad you said diabetes, because the body cannot produce enough insulin in time to take the sugar out of your blood, right? And that is where the diabetes also comes in. So we see that there are also many other, you know, diseases that are linked to this one substance, this one drug. So additionally, we also encourage persons that, guess what? Do not start, right? Find other ways to cope with whatever you're going through. So now we are on to ganja edibles. So ganja edibles, these are foods or drinks that are infused with cannabis or ganja, usually from the plant Cannabis sativa. So instead of smoking, people eat or drink them to feel the effects. So examples, as you said earlier, include brownies, cakes, cookies, or space cakes. So we also have candies. They are also in teas and juices and chocolates. And the active ingredient, mainly THC, is mixed into the food. Now, the reason this is so dangerous, and these are some examples of them, the reason this is so dangerous is because unlike the ganja that you smoke, and in about, say 10 to 30 minutes, you are feeling a high from it, right? And I want you to listen to me very carefully now, especially the children that are here. So, the ganja cakes or the gummies, whenever you eat this, right? Remember, it is something that has to be what? Digested. Since it has to be digested, your body takes time. You know that food takes about 2 to 4 hours to digest, right? So you will have an individual, so you will be saying, all right, then, give me the cake, or whatever. And he's not feeling a kick from it as yet. And he's saying, all right, then, he can take a next one. So what does he do? He takes a next one, right? And he's saying about after 10 minutes, it's still not kicking, right? So what does he do again? Takes another one. And then after about an hour or so, he starts to feel lightheaded. But what he doesn't realize is that, guess what? That one that he took, probably it would have been enough to give him an overdose, because you never know the quantity of THC that might be in your gummy, or in your piece of the cake, or in their piece of the cake for those who are using it, right? So, those 3 that you would have taken, it now causes an overdose. And now the body cannot deal with so much ganja or so much THC in the body. And then that leads to either seizures, persons fainting, and so on, right? And here we are seeing on the display, back to the pictures, please. Right, here we are seeing on the display that manufacturers are actually making these to look like what? Snacks. So who do they attract? Children, right? So even though they might be saying that, children are not the target audience, really they are, right? So we are seeing Cheetos, we are seeing Oreo, we are seeing Snickers, and so on. But these are just the manufacturing label, right? And no child is really going to probably take time out to look at the manufacturing package and see that, this has marijuana on it, or this has THC on it, even though it is supposed to be on it, right? So sometimes they are usually either it has a skull or whatever on it that says, all right, this is actually, not for children, but you know how kids are, right? Yes?
Actually, we made just knockoff things that people, copy a brand and put things in it, or you should say, or bootleg the brand, or is it that the people who make these snacks are actually making drugs to distribute?
All right, so there are stuff that are actually being made, right? So companies actually make these. So it's all a part of, what can we say, marketing, right? Or branding. So they want to make money at the expense of our health and our future generation, sadly. So here we also see Jolly Rancher gummies and Nerds as well. And this is the packaging that they are using. So that's why it's also important for parents to make sure that you're keeping a close eye on your children, right? So checking their bags, knowing the friends that they keep as well, because they can be, introduced to these things. And I remember this once, I'm not sure, right? So there was this child from a particular school. So he was saying that he was supporting his friend by, buying the ganja cake from him, because I'm friend business, so I must support him. And he actually bought and consumed it, and he had to be taken to the hospital as well. So we have to also educate our children about making choices, right? And also about the friends that they keep as well. So, so effects include, so the potency, as I was referring to earlier. So with edibles, you are unaware of the amount of ganja that was used. So the time effects, so it goes through a process of digestion. As such, it may take 30 minutes or possibly more for the side effects to be felt. Additional effects include anxiety or panic attacks, paranoia, nausea and vomiting, a very fast heart rate, and confusion or hallucinations. And when we say hallucinations, we mean that they are seeing things that aren't real, right? So they are seeing things that aren't there. Right. So, effects of cigarettes or tobacco on your health. So, a cigarette contains nicotine and many cancer-causing chemicals that are harmful to both smokers and non-smokers. First-hand smoking, second-hand smoking, and third-hand smoking. So, who knows what third-hand smoking is? Repeat. All right, so it says when the person exhales and you inhales. So that is actually second-hand smoke, right? So we also have third-hand smoke. No one? All right, say it for them to hear.
So it's going into an environment where the smoking would have taken place before, prior to you going there.
All right, and she's absolutely correct, right? So third-hand smoke refers to going into any environment that the smoke or someone was smoking before. And that's why it's always, advised for the person to, I'm coming, I see your hand, I'm coming. So never smoking, not open, in closed areas, right? And I know this doesn't apply to any of you, but it's just general information, right? So it's always that never smoke in enclosed areas because the smoke can actually be entrapped in, say, curtains or, the coat that you hang up in the, what's that thing called? The wardrobe as well, right? And the smoke being trapped there, it actually comes back out. And that's why also we say that if someone is a smoker, then it's never wise to let them hold your baby close to the chest or the bosom area, right? Because the smoke that is entrapped on their clothes, the baby will also inhale that smoke. So I had this gentleman before you, so I'm coming to you, all right?
I don't know if you can help with it. My question is, at one time, some years ago, they were planning to ban outdoor smoking because they think that the people should go to a room by themselves and smoke. So do you know anything what's happening about it? Are they still planning to do that, or it just because they say that I think the government is planning to ban outdoor smoking in public spaces, and I don't hear anything about it. I've seen it happening. So
All right, thank you very much for the question. I see Miss Brown coming to.
It is still illegal. And this is something that we need to be aware of. It is illegal to smoke in a public space. Right? So, and again, can I add to that? It is illegal for children to go and buy cigarettes, and it's illegal for them to go buy alcohol. It is illegal. So when we see persons out there smoking in a public space, and a public space is anywhere that people are gathered. So even out there on the sidewalk, in the churchyard, on a football field, it is indeed against the law for persons. So it's not one time or it was said, but there is a law and we have a responsibility to protect our children. It is against the law. It is indeed against the law.
All right, thank you very much, Miss. Yes, you may go ahead.
Yes, I was saying that the third hand smoke is extremely dangerous and it affects the lungs seriously because the smoke or the substance that you inhale from the curtain or etc. is there for a while. So because of that, when you inhale that, you have tremendous effect on the body.
All right, thank you very much. And she's absolutely correct as well. All right. Sir in the blue jacket, I saw your hand raised earlier.
That person was actually smoking in their vehicle under air condition. And you drive in that vehicle is one of the worst experience after that smoke. Or you should visit the hotel and somebody that's smoking in that room before you and it's stuck in the air condition. It's the worst kind of after that smoke because what it is doing, it keeps circulating. So it is alive.
Right. Yeah. And that's absolutely correct. So that's why, you know, smoking in enclosed areas, well, I mean, in that sense of it, it could be your personal space. But then again, you know, you are going to that space, so it's also harmful to you as well, right? All right, so thank you very much. So moving on. So there are over 5,000 different chemicals in a cigarette. And you heard right, over 5,000 different chemicals in a cigarette. Cigarettes can affect every single organ in your body, and the effects are normally long-term. So on the other slide, you'll be seeing some of the harmful substances that are in the cigarette. So starting from the left, we are seeing acetic acid, which is vinegar. We also see butane, which is lighter fluid, cadmium, which is in batteries, stearic acid, which is candle wax, hexamine, which is barbecue lighter, toluene, which is an industrial solvent, nicotine. We also have ammonia, which is toilets or the toilet bowl cleaner. We have paint, methanol, which is rocket fuel, carbon monoxide, and we all know how dangerous that is, especially since Melissa, and they were speaking about the gas that is released by the generators and so on. We also have arsenic, which is poison, methane, which is sewer gas as well, right? So these are just a few of the harmful substances that can be found in the cigarette. And I'm not sure for those of you who know, but when you light a tobacco, so the tobacco plant, right? The plant never burns. However, when you light a cigarette, what happens? It burns, right? So that is because of the different chemicals that they put in it so that it keeps on going, it keeps on burning. And this is what a smoker is taking in daily into their bodies. So the short and long-term effects. So we have increased heart rate. We also have a drop in skin temperature, an increase in the rate of breathing, and also the odor that comes with the cigarette. More long-term effects include lung cancer or other cancers, chronic heart disease, gastric or duodenal ulcers, discolored fingernails and teeth, and chronic bronchitis, which is a severe lung disease. All right, now we are moving on to the e-cigarettes or the vape pen. And this is where I also want my young people to pay attention. So, e-cigarettes come in many shapes and sizes. Most have a battery, a heating element, and a place to hold a liquid. So, e-cigarettes produce an aerosol by heating a liquid that usually contains nicotine, and that liquid is heated when it is inhaled or it is pulled from the opening of the vape. The addictive drug in regular cigarettes, which is nicotine, cigars, and other tobacco products. So it also contains flavorings and other chemicals that help to make the aerosol. And a common myth that I usually encounter whenever I go into schools is that, oh, vape is just aerosol, or just liquid, or just flavoring, right? That's what they always say. And it isn't until I will say this to them, or I will show it to them, that they are like, their mind is blown. So here we have vape, a toxic mix. So it's more than just water vapor, right? So again, starting from the left, we have benzene. And benzene is actually widely used in the industrial chemical, factories and so on. And it's gasoline. So it's literal gasoline, right? And this can affect bone marrow and affect blood cells as well. We also have acetone. Now, acetone is used as a nail polish remover. This can be also found in the vape. So this irritates the eyes along with depressing and central nervous systems. Depressing the central nervous system, sorry. So we also have toluene, which is commonly used as paint thinner. Right, paint thinner. And you smell the paint thinner, right? It has a very strong, and is that you cannot smell it for long. And this is also in the vape as well. We also have what we call nickel, which is used to make or used in the production of stainless steel. Additionally, there is lead. And we know what lead is. We have cadmium as well. Acrolein, which is used in the so what's it called now? Gramazone. Right? And we also have what we call formaldehyde. So do we know what formaldehyde is? Oh, you're not sure what your name already? No, not really. All right. Not fertilizer, yes? Embalming fluid, very good. Right. So, yes, the formaldehyde. It is the embalming fluid that you see or what they use to preserve the bodies of the dead. And this can also be found in the vape. So, another reason the vape is so dangerous is because of, it's because of how it is made. So, this could be a vape, right? A water bottle. It could also be a mic that's in my hand. It could also be a pen. It could also be a pencil. It could also look like a candy bar, like a phone, whatever you think. And the reason it is made like that is to do what? Attract who? Young people, right? So you will see the manufacturer saying again that guess what? Should not be sold to persons below the age of 18. But then why are they making it like that? Right? So it's made that way to be easily concealed, hidden from parents, teachers, security guards at the gates, and so on. And this is why it's so dangerous, because you never know you never know how it may look. But then it is being used just the same. And then it may be passed around among not one, not two, but probably 3 individuals in the school space as well. And that also raises eyebrows as it relates to hygiene practices, because all of their mouths are going on that one vape, right? And in reality, so the real effects, or should I say, scientists, they really haven't, known the adverse effects as to what the vape does to the human body over, say, a long period of time. Because, it is still fairly a bit young, right? So they're actually depending on the younger generation now to tell them what happens. So probably persons who are 10, 11 now, probably in the next 40, 50 years, they look at them and say, oh, so this is what happens to individuals when they use a vape over a prolonged period of time. So it is very easily accessible. So it can be bought in a supermarket, a gas station, even though it's not supposed to be sold to persons under 18. But persons, they want a profit, right? And they're not turning away these children as well. So I also implore the parents again, and probably not only the parents, they say it takes a village to raise a child. So look at your children, for those of you who have grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and so on, be involved in what they are doing as well. And have these conversations with them as well. Find out about the friends that they keep, about the things that they do. And what I'm realizing now as well is that the children, they aren't afraid to tell you what they do. Because nowadays, I will go into schools and I will say, all right, let me see the hands of all those who vape. And trust me, they do raise their hands. Right? So no one is afraid again to say, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. They are very open about it. And you can look at it as something positive to say, all right, at least they are being honest about it, but also it's very dangerous, right? And it's very, to see what is happening now, trust me, whenever I go out there and see what's happening, it can be very heart-wrenching at times because I'm saying this is the future and this is what they are feeding on from such a young age. So what is going to happen to them when they're about my age or even older, right? So it's very important that we, be involved in their lives. And many of them, yes, it may be the age where they are just experimenting, right? So that is what is usually said, oh, it's the age and they're just experimenting and so on. But there are other things to experiment, right? I went to high school for 5 years and I went to a high school that those software use a lot, right? And I've never used a substance or so when I was going to high school. Still not know, right? Just putting that out there, right? So, and even the other day I went to the school and I was saying to them that, you can have fun without using substances. You can have fun without using drugs. High school can be fun without using drugs, right? So it's just for us to also implore this in them as well. So, another one, I'm going to see if I can go through quickly. I know Miss Brown is coming. All right, so we also have money, right? So, this is the MDMA. It's short for 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine. And it is commonly used as ecstasy or molly, known as, it's made in labs. So, this drug effects generally last from 3 to 6 hours, and it's a Schedule 1 substance, which means that there is no medical benefit and a high potential for abuse. So you heard that? It's no medical benefit. So it's just a party drug. So it's just used just because, right? Just because of the high that they may get from it. So effects include euphoria and relaxation. Users feel a high or a state of detached happiness, poor motor skills. Right. There's also digestive distress, nausea, vomiting, and severe constipation. And there might also be visual impairments or blurred vision, like seeing in the night, and so on. All right, so now we're gonna move on to some healthy. All right, so effects of lean. We can go to this slide. So the effects of lean, as we were looking at earlier on. So the lean, so remember it's mixed with the Sprite and the Jolly Rancher and also the DPH. So some effects of it include euphoria, relaxation, feeling tired and slow, irritability and experiencing dizziness and loss of coordination. Also slowed heart rate and breathing, seizures, dental decay because of the sugar that's in it. So the Sprite, sugar, the Jolly Rancher is also sugar, right? And it also causes impaired vision. So we also have healthy alternatives that can be practiced instead of using substances. So these include positive coping activities such as sports. I always implore, especially the boys, to say, guess what? You can go outside and play. So what you like to play? Some say football, some it may be basketball, some like to, some like track and field and so on. So I always say, all right, lean to your strengths, lean to things that you like doing. For the girls, it may be netball. We also have gym and fitness, uplifting, positive music, gaming. So some may say they like gaming. And nothing is wrong with gaming, but everything we know we have to do in what? Moderation, right? So we also have church and youth groups, talking to trusted adults, for those who like content creation, clubs and skills training, and also gardening. And these are just a few, but ultimately it comes on to what you like doing. So you have to play to your strengths. So if you see that, all right, you may be doing this and you like it, and at the same time you are having these thoughts to saying you want to use a substance or so on, you can always play to your strengths. And if you think you want additional, help or assistance, that is what we at NCDA are for. So we also have our helpline that you can also contact. So it's 876-564-4357. 876-564-4357. And we have counselors available. We also have, harm reduction officers, psychologists who are ready and rearing to assist individuals who may be going through difficulties as it relates to substances. And it is totally free, right? So there's no fee attached. As long as you come to the office, you help or assisted. And we also have a 24-hour chat line. So this is a 24-hour chat line. It's called the You Matter chat line. And this is for, let's say, teenagers who might be having, suicidal thoughts or, repeat please? No, it's not AI. Right, you talk to someone, a real person. Right, so on the other line, you will have psychologists and also counselors as so you'll be able to speak to them. So this number is 876-838-4897. So that's 876-838-4897. And you text this number either on WhatsApp or SMS, and you will be contacted directly to either a psychologist or a counselor who will be ready and raring to assist you. So I hope you would have learned something from my presentation this afternoon as relates to substances. Yes. All right. So as it relates to going to the home, all right. So we don't go to the home. You want to?
All right. So for now, if persons are having challenges coming to our office, we can come to a point in community. So, like how we have this partnership now, maybe if you have an office at the church, that could be something we partner on, and our counselors come every Wednesday, that sort of thing. All right, so for persons who are dually diagnosed, though, they would also need to be seeing a mental health service provider. So they may need to be seeing a psychiatrist and so on. So there needs to be that kind of partnership. So at this point, no, we don't really go to persons' home to provide counseling support, but we do go into community, and we can meet at a point in like the community clinic, a community center, the church, and I love the partnership, that sort of thing. Yes. All right, so you would have listened, you would have heard about the significant impact associated with substance misuse. So we would have started the conversation, and we are saying, now what next? Now I want you to watch a video to kind of sign everything that we would have just talked about, right? And we're going to put it all together, because what we are seeing is that drugs affect mind, it affects body, and it affects spirit. Because if a person is on a substance, they're going to find it hard to have a strong relationship with God. True or false? So it impacts the entire being. Now, I want you to just watch this video and then tell me some things that you would have noticed. So watch. tell me some things you noticed about the video. We just looked at drugs and we talked about the impact and the effect and stuff like that. What are some of the things that you noticed as you watched the video?
I think I came back to it, and then he tried to stop. And but continue take it down, it slowed him down.
So you saw the long-term effect of it. All right. Okay. Yes. So we see the long-term effect. Yes.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's a very serious video. When I was looking at it, I said, he was happy at first, feel like he was on the top of the world. And after that, still addiction. The body want it. And realized that he keep on going for it. Even though the body was deteriorating, he was still going back for it. He realized that body was still deteriorating even more and more, still because of the addiction.
Yes.
I think what caught me more than anything, the first time he saw it, he gave a glance. He passed. But as soon as he saw it again, he remembered what he saw and stopped to take part. We ought not to see.
Right. So he pondered and he looked and, oh, somebody else. Yes.
Yes, after a while, the high became short-lived.
Powerful. So that's that video kind of sum up addiction. It sums it up. So it starts out with being tempted. You see the temptation and him pondered and then him try it. And then him get a high. We noticed it. And him look like him floating and him just feeling good. And the high was longer. But as you rightly noted, over time to the point where him not even getting a high anymore. And you realize the long-term impact. So despite the negative consequences, he continues to do it. And that's the danger of substance misuse. Right? So it may be attractive, and, our friends are we at school, are we tempted, and so on. But then it carries a long-term, significant negative impact. That is where we want to be going. So when we talk about addiction, we're talking about this long-term, uncontrollable, compulsive substance use, which continues even though it carries long-term negative implications. And we see it in our communities. And we say, why him not stop? Him not see what they do it to him, that sort of thing. But some of the core characteristics where we're looking at addiction is one, they have intense cravings. So when we're talking about drug addiction, we're now talking about the brain literally changing. And that's the danger associated with it. Yes.
It numbed the physical feeling. Because while he was working on the pill, so shake it off and go again. So that physical feeling left it. That he was being hurt and not even knowing it.
And as we mentioned earlier, drug addiction affects mind, body, spirit. So the entire being is impacted. So a person will have significant cravings. So when they start using the drug, over time, the body changes. And the person starts to have cravings for the drug. Then there is what we know, impulse control. They find it difficult to control those cravings. And then they have continued negatives, as we saw in the video. And over time, brain and structure and everything gets impacted. So we are saying that substance misuse is a serious brain disorder. And it can lead to what we call substance use disorder. Roll the slide for me. And when we're looking at substance use disorder, we are looking at a cluster. So it's a number, it's a cluster of different things. It affects our thinking, and we see it in communities, right? When a person is addicted to a drug, it affects how they think. They get paranoid, as Ralph J would have outlined. I don't like how the whole of them people up there watch me, you know. I don't like them people. You see the paranoia coming out, right? So it affects the mind. It affects their behavior, right? And it also affects their physical body. So mind, behavior, the physical body is impacted.
So even if the person should stop, you're saying that the symptoms of this paranoia is still there?
Over time, and this is where we're going to be looking now on how do we provide support for individuals who are addicted. Now, change, and we serve a God who is able to do instant change. Tell the truth. And we have seen that. But for some person, it is a process. So it's a journey. And it can be a lifelong journey for many individuals. And that is why we are saying to people or young people, leave it alone. Leave it alone. It can have significant impact on body and mind. Right? Now, substance misuse, it progresses over time. So we have a person may become exposed to the drug. So they go to school or they're in community and they notice people smoking. That's exposure. Now, we may find that a person may experiment with the drug. So they get exposed and they see it and curiosity hit. And then them try it. Now, a person may continue or a person may stop. Or it may progress to where they occasionally use. So on weekend when they go to parties and stuff is when they use. And it can also progress. So over time, it progresses. So sometimes we have this concept, oh, him will stop and stuff like that. If they continue to use, it tends to progress over time, and this is where the brain and body changes, right? So substance misuse progress over time. Now it impacts the brain. So what we find is that when a person uses a drug, and Roger would have spoken about the dopamine impact. So a person uses a cocaine and it's like there's a flush of dopamine, bam, and they feel so good. It's like, oh my goodness, and they're just so feeling so good, but it doesn't last. But what you will find is that over time, because of the flush of dopamine that they get from the drug, the brain remembers it. And that is why you're wondering why this person, because the brain remembers how that drug made them feel. And then you will find that things that normally give them pleasure don't give them the kind of pleasure that they get from the drug. And that is why sometimes you may even see persons get money and instead of go buy food, what they go buy? The drug, because the drug gives them so much pleasure. And this is why we want to be mindful of that. Over time, the brain reward system adjusts. It adjusts, sorry. You will also find that, as we said, some things that used to cause pleasure don't cause that type of pleasure anymore. And the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain, becomes significantly impacted. Now, we would have looked at the implications, so we're not going to... Now, why is it that people start use drug in the first place? And it's good as a church because we are mission-driven. True or false? Mission is our lifeblood. So how do we provide support for persons when we go out there on the mission field and a lot of people out there are using substances? Why is it that person gets involved in drug use in the first place? Anybody? They don't see an alternative. The influence, yes. Depression, a lot of times too, our young people by nature are curious and they love try. I remember a young lady saying to me, I know my mommy tell me, but I saw it and I really wanted to try it. And I hear Roger talk about the young man who when they do support him brethren. Him brethren I sell ganja cake and he decides, why am I brethren? Me have to give him little support. Took it and end up in the hospital. So people get involved in drug use for various reasons. And we, as we understand, we can put prevention measures in place. And I love the fact that the church this afternoon has decided that they want to do this kind of public education, which now allows our young people to be able to weigh the pros and cons. And we have a method that we use, Roger, that we call the SODAS method. So we look at situation and we look at our options. So as young people, despite the fact that persons are out there using and drinking and say, oh, you're going like your girl, some man drink up a thing. You're going to say, that's why I'm not like going nowhere with her, you know. She just cool. Just come out with party and they cool up a place. Drink it something, man. To be, yeah, that's the kind of pressure sometimes our young people are under. Can they handle the pressure? And are we putting things in place to help them to handle the pressure? Conversations like these, for us not to be so judgmental and to have conversations with them and build connections. Because the pressure not pretty out there, you know. It's not pretty because a lot of times they're under pressure. So we want them to want to be able to understand that young people, guess what? You have a what? An option. You don't have to do it. Yes. Persons who are in, yes. Powerful. And then sometimes they will laugh after them, you know, and say, you're afraid of you. Watch him. You afraid of him? What you do? You afraid of mother beat you? Watch her. Yeah, man, watch him out. And them laugh and them some. And if you don't have that strong wind power, you bow under the pressure. You understand? So the reality is that person getting, sometimes too, our children are under stress. True or false? Yes. Yeah, man. Sometimes, and somehow we will say, oh, what do you have for stress to over there now? Pay no bills. As adults, we say that, look here, what do you stress to over? We don't have bills to pay. But young people are you stressed sometimes. And she pray. Yes. Yes. And I agree with you that our thoughts and the things that come into the mind will affect how I feel and how I behave. But I like the fact that as a church, we have a department that caters for young people and caters for young people's needs. And we have our different department that keep them engaged and they're active and they're all actively involved, right? So these are some of the things. But we also have our young people who are struggling. And I remember Roger J was saying to me, talking to a young man or somebody associated with a young man who was talking about the fact that he would have had so much trauma, seeing his father died before him and other relatives. That is traumatic. And a lot of persons may use substances to numb the pain, to block, because it's easier to block than to deal with the reality. And this is where, as a church, we create safe spaces where people are able to be vulnerable and don't feel judged. Yes.
Microphone.
Yes. When persons use substance to block situations, why they become addicted more time, because as soon as the substance wear out, put it quote unquote, then the situation is still there and they have to take in more and more and more. And that is how some persons become addicted. So even with us, sometimes in our church and thing, we may have a situation and say, for example, we go on TikTok. And when we look, we use the TikTok to be there. And then as you come off, you remember a situation and you go right back. And because of that, we become addicted to social media. We become addicted to a lot of other stuff.
Yes. So, people maintain dependency based on a number of factors. And it's good for us as a church to understand these factors. One, they include cravings. Now, I'm going to give you a practical example of how a craving can be difficult. Any of you in here love cake? All right. And there are times when I have had moments when me say, listen, me done with the sweets, me done. And then somebody come with some bakings, and the baking smells so good. And I say, all right, one last time, one last piece, one last slice. That's the kind of craving, you know. I may say it jokingly, but this is the kind of craving that persons who use substances may have. And that is why it can be difficult for them. So they use the drug, they genuinely say, I want to stop. Genuinely. They look on you and say, I'm done. And they mean it. But then go around them friend, and them friend a smoke, and them smell it. And it triggers the brain. And then, bam. All right, one last one. And there you go. So, you know, it's good for us to understand this, because what we are doing, it helps us to be able to better able to work with people who are struggling with addiction. And we become less judgmental. Persons develop a tolerance for the drug. You realize that when we had that little video, you notice that over time the high never lasted as long. You noticed? For the first time he had this long high. Yes. But then you notice over time it get less and less. What you'll find, his body has now developed a tolerance for the drug. So he doesn't feel the effect as much. So it now takes more of the drug for him to feel the effect. And that is why they may start out with a one spliff. And then over time you notice 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spliff, because their body would have developed a tolerance for the drug. Another thing that can make it hard for somebody and why a person may maintain dependency is because of what we call withdrawal symptoms. So, when they stop using the drug, what happens? Their body start to react because the body would have gotten adjusted to the drug. And when they no longer use, they probably have headaches. Or they find that they feel miserable and aggressive and tormented. And that is why you may have somebody come to church and then look like they're gone. But they have to go and go smoke and come back. Because their bodies would have gotten used to the drug, and when they go without the drug for extended period, their body goes into withdrawal. And then when they take the drug, it's like, them calm again and then good. Anybody ever work with people, I come into you, anybody ever work with people who smoke cigarette and you see them just look antsy and then you see them go with you a little bit, them smoke and then come back and them good again. I come into you, yes.
And another thing why persons become addicted, because the first time a person smoke, they normally get a high, which then will never get back again. And because of that, they're always seeking for that highness.
Yes.
And because of that, they keep on taking it, and searching for the highness. And because they do not feel the high again, it becomes addictive.
Yeah. So over time, and that's what we call a tolerance being developed and stuff like that. So when we understand this, as we interact with people, we become less judgmental. And we are able to understand that one, even being around new people, when we're looking at recovery, the church can be a place where friends are changed. And they're no longer around people who trigger them. Because if I'm struggling with something, I'm struggling with cake, I'm constantly around cake, what gonna happen to me? It go harder for me. So we don't play with sin, don't it? We say avoid the very appearance of evil. So for a person struggling with addiction, a recovery methodology is a safe place like here where they don't feel judged and they're away from their triggers. So, as we look at the whole idea of recovery and so on, as a church, we have a major part to play in it. And we're wrapping up. What are signs of addiction? How can we tell? We have a lot of parents in here. And one of the things we want to be able to do is to be able to pick up early warning signs where we can provide support for our people. What are some warning signs? Yes. Lack of interest, yes. They get pulled away and they're no longer interested. They used to interested in football. They used to interested in coming to church and no longer interested. That sort of thing. These can be indicators. Yes. Withdrawn. Yes. What else? Missing money. What else? Anxiety and so on. Hanging around users. Probably no branded. No, wearing a shirt with a big ganja leaf. Yeah? And, me promoting that sort of thing. So, there are indicators that we can look for. For a person who is struggling, compulsive behaviors in terms of persistent craving, they find that they're not functioning well at work, there is this secrecy, and so on. Those are indicators. Now, and we look at risk factors, What are risk factors for substance misuse among our young people? What put our young people at risk for becoming involved in substance misuse? Peers, living in community. And this is where, when we hear this, this is where advocacy and something that, you see, when it come on to substance misuse prevention, everybody business. I can't pull away myself and say, my pitney them good. It is all of us. It involves all of us. And for us to be advocating against selling to minors, you know, as a church, we have these kind of seminars. We speak out against substance misuse. We do substance misuse walks in community and things like that. Because guess what? The accessibility of it, the availability of it, all of these are risk factors. Or children seeing other person doing it. Children tend to live what they learn. So these are risk factors. What are some protective factors now? How can we protect our children? Are we boiling down because it's Vesper time? How can we protect our children? Educating them, yes. Strong social connection. Not judge them when they come to church. When they do things and they not dress all right. Build connection before we start to lick out upon them. You see where me I go with that? Talk the truth. Them she not pay. She not listen. You soon gone. Me have to stay. But we build social connection. Bond with our young people. Sometimes, you know, when they feel very judged and, you know, they're struggling with issues and feel like nobody now gonna really understand them. And if they talk, you know, people are going to look on them a different way. Protective factors are connecting with our young people and ensuring that this space that they are in, they feel comfortable and safe. What else are protective factors? And we have to go. Anything else? Get them involved in activity and allow, because I 100% agree with you. When there is a strong connection with God, that is what transforms people. Now what we say now, it's their personal relationship with God, their daily prayer, daily reading of scripture, constantly talking to God. That is what is going to create that restoration and transformation.
That still can buy a package. Eat the life and show their friend. Not only that is drug in it. Automatically, all those persons get addicted.
Powerful, powerful. Now, one of the things, and I have to close now because I realize that it's Vesper time. When we're looking at recovery for individuals who are misusing drugs, one of the things we want to encourage persons to do is to seek help early. And Roger would have shared some numbers, and we are going to give them out. Because when we are looking at substance misuse recovery, we are looking at the full gamut at a person's life. Because as we would have noted, people get involved in drugs for various reasons. And we have to attack the root causes. So if a person is struggling with trauma, the trauma issue has to be dealt with. If a person is dealing with other issues, we have to deal with those issues. So one of the things that we want to ensure is that persons get the kind of support they can get. And this is where the National Council on Drug Abuse come in, and we want people to come in early. So do you know where our offices are located? So we are located at 4 Car Crescent in Montego Bay. And we have our psychologists and counselors, and we also have our helpline, which is 24 hours. I don't know how many persons knew we had a 24-hour helpline. 876-564-HELP. Yes. All right, so Car Crescent is the same. Anybody know where the family court building is at? So we are located on that same building where you have the family court building, and we are located on the ground floor, right? We also have the helpline that Roll J would have shared. It is 876-564-4357. People can call our helpline, and they are immediately connected to a psychologist who will guide them through the process and link them to where there is continuity of care. So time is up, guys, but was a privilege for us to be here. We are also actively involved in mental wellness, and we want this to be a continued partnership with us and the church. If you're going in community, call us. If you want to have a drug march and you need pamphlets and so on to give out, reach out to us, because what we're saying is drug prevention is all our business.
Oh, yes.
Because believe it or not, if my child is not okay, your child may be impacted. So we need to take care of everybody's children. Thank you so much.